name all those as well. Red peppers as well, so capsicum are nightshades, okay, but some individuals do respond well by reducing. So if an individual have high inflammation, okay, it's good to reduce those. But in terms of preventive and also long-term care, it's also good to include these items in as well. So it's a kind of a juggle here. So individuals who have got arthritis, okay, by avoiding nightshade food can be helpful. And also the other earlier slides in inflammation that triggers inflammation food, like highly processed, high sugar, high salt, it should be watchful as well. Yes, so avoiding nightshade food would be helpful. Yeah, so these are what we call as high alkaloids food that can trigger inflammation, especially in the joint area. So, but in terms of overall health and immunity, okay, just looking at the other flip side of it. So, okay, looking at overall health and immunity, these are sources that contain vitamin A as well. So it's also needed for our body. But individuals who have got the condition of arthritis to reduce inflammation should avoid nightshade food. Okay, so I hope that helps. Okay, so I think some of you are surprised that liver is here. Right, so actually liver is considered quite healthy because they do contain quite a high number of vitamin A, and also, okay, when liver are cleaned properly, they are very nutritious, and we do recommend individuals, especially elders, to consume them. Extremely nutritious and good quality nutrients are there, especially vitamin A. So only individuals would think, most of the individuals would think that they cause high blood cholesterol and should be avoided. However, I'm more concerned about the fried items and the high fat food choices. Therefore, not so much on the liver as an ingredient. All right. Okay, so vitamin C are usually found in all fresh fruits and vegetables. Okay, most people might think that's orange, but actually a lot of fresh fruits and vegetables do contain high amounts of vitamin C as well. The only concern with vitamin C is that they tend to oxidize very easily. So when we cut them, okay, it's good to quickly eat fruits immediately, or not leave it to overnight or in the fridge. If we are doing so, it's good to put an airtight container. And when we wash our vegetables, it is good to not chop everything into smaller pieces because they tend to oxidize as well. So vitamin E, okay, are found in mostly high-fat food, okay, but we're going to look at food that are mostly plant-based, such as sunflower seeds, almonds, peanut butter, but ideally unsweetened. And in order to extract vitamin E from plant-based items, because it is a fat-soluble vitamin, it requires a little bit of oil in order for us to absorb them. Okay. Right, okay, sorry to confuse everybody. Okay, so Charmaine, okay, vitamin A food is helpful, okay, for boosting immunity. But there are certain kinds of food where we call that as nightshade foods why they're called nightshade foods is because they belong to a category that has high alkaloids. Okay, and these usually, though clinically not 100%, but has shown quite positive results in reducing inflammation. Right, so if individuals do suffer from like frequency attacks of inflammation, then it's good to avoid these food items on a regular basis and watch and monitor. I guess Jane, you are asking, I hope that answers your question, Charmaine. Let me know if you didn't catch that. I can repeat myself again, no worries. Jane, I think you're asking almonds cause inflammation. I think it's quite relatable to gout. Most of the time, when we talk about nuts and soil, inflammation that can cause gout also kind of be like joint issues or joint pain. Usually triggers by high purine food. Yeah. So sometimes, most of the time actually for gout condition, especially to reduce those inflammation and triggers, it is good to monitor one's water intake first. Right? So watch out for that, and also our kidneys health also. That can help to be watchful. Is it gout or is it almonds? Okay. going to answer that question. Okay, William, you asked the question with reference to water. Nowadays, many of us install filter water machines to drink alkaline water. Is it true that really good for us? I also don't know, honestly speaking, because there are no studies that done with drinking alkaline water and also drinking regular water. But there are studies that shows that drinking tap water, especially in, not like Singapore, we're quite lucky, but there are some places or some countries, the taps are not clean, or it may cause like, food safety and hygiene issues, or like high bacteria that can cause other conditions to arise. But in terms of whether alkaline water has been proven to be healthy, can't tell. Honestly can't tell, because our body is such a great buffer system. So anything that goes through our stomach, our stomach is such an acidic nature already. So everything that goes through us will be somewhat neutral already. So sometimes very much depends whether how much, if installing that filter water makes you happy, then okay lah, mental health. Yeah. So honestly, don't know. There's no direct answer whether it's good or not good. So I hope that answers your question. Unfortunately, I can't give you more than that. Okay, which nut is the best? Very good question. Peanuts known to cause a lot of inflammation, so it depends on individuals. There are more peanut allergies nowadays amongst children. I would say, and almonds are not suitable for elderlies because they're really quite hard to bite, so they're not suitable. I would say walnut seems to be one of like the alternative, because it has one, higher amount of fiber, two, good amount of protein as well, and omega-3. Yeah, so that would be like one of the better nuts. Another nut is Brazil nuts. I know they're kind of pricey, but they do contain the highest amount of selenium, which is also useful for nerve and our brain health as well. How do we know if we have an inflammation condition? Good question. You would know because it feels really painful. Actually, you would really know if we might have an inflammation, because it's really painful, and some individuals actually can't move very much, and because of their mobility, they might also be compromised in their quality of life also. So if you have an inflammation, or you think you might have an inflammation, it's good to do regular monitor check. Blood health screening is also useful to check on inflammation responses, especially in the cortisol. So I hope that helps. Adeline, okay, I'm honestly very happy with all the questions that's being asked, because I'm happy to answer them as well. So I'm just going to answer a couple more, then we'll run through the slides, because some of the questions can be answered there as well. So I hope you don't mind if I just stop halfway. Okay. Adeline, okay, you're asking, is tomato seed bad for health as in if we eat it raw? Okay, actually, that's a very good question, because if we don't have a good gut health, okay, what I mean by good gut health is kind of it feels sluggish, gassy, bloating. Sometimes you have irregular bowel movement. Some of these tomato seeds have known to cause to be stuck in the what's that called? That small little part of our intestine. I can't remember now of my mind. But yeah, it has known to be stuck in the intestine and can cause inflammation to happen also in the gastrointestinal area. So I would say if eating high amounts of those, then yes, but regularly, if individuals don't have gastrointestinal issues, then tomato seeds are actually okay. Yeah, our body will actually pass it out. Yeah. So if we have more ridges it's not as smooth in our intestines, then chances of it getting stuck is high. So I would say for elderlies, okay, we might not want to include that in. Right, for working adults or for young individuals, I think it's okay. Is there a test to be done for lactose intolerant? Yes, actually you can. There are tests that you can do. You can do via stool test, or you can do via, I think, one day we can do it by blood test. No, I think it's stool test for lactose intolerance. Yes. So they usually count your bacteria count in your stool to know what kind of bacteria are in there. So generally, lactose intolerant tend to have a lower levels of certain bacteria. Okay, so I hope that answers your question, Shemaine and Adeline. Sharon, is it possible to take too much vitamin D from supplements? Yes, there is a possibility of taking too much vitamin D, especially from supplements, because supplementation sometimes they exist in mega doses. If maybe we are also adding enough vitamin D from our food, also adding enough vitamin D from sunlight, then it is possible. Yeah. So it's good to go for natural food first, or else the natural sunlight, and that's where you can get most of the vitamin D. Unless mobility is an issue, and digesting these foods are an issue. For example, mushrooms is one of the sunshade food, and these mushrooms also contain good amount of vitamin D. If food choices is not possible and sunlight is not possible, then looking at low doses of vitamin D would be effective. Okay,